What does it mean to be abundant, to show up in excellence, to attract the prosperity and circumstances that many of us would like to have in our lives? Well, it has a lot to do with our embodiment of our genius, the awakening of our spirit, this genius that is innate within every living being, within all of creation. And as a human being, we have this seed, this spark. But this spark, it needs to be fanned. It needs to be flourished so that it can grow and grow. And then that flame will inspire others and lead to their growing. So with this, many of our flames have been diminished through different programming and ways of relating to our experiences and our upbringing and schooling, the education system. Largely had an impact on this, where work and effort began to be associated with boredom and monotony and being told what to do and having to do things that seemed meaningless, right? And so that diminished our kind of creative spirit, or it had the potential to. For many people it did. And that can lead us to not really fulfill our dreams, not really fulfill our purpose and destiny here. So what do we do about this? Well, first, it is important we do not be a victim of these circumstances, that we are not stuck. We are empowered beings and we're able to act appropriately. And so realize the areas of your life where you've compromised. Perhaps this has been in relationship or your career or whatever, and you're doing this job because it's good enough and it's paying the bills, and maybe society approves of it and you feel safe in it, and so you've compromised. It's okay. It's like, it works ish. But are you really happy? Are you really fulfilled? And so fulfillment will come through the sharing and flame of your genius and the expression of that genius to the world. When you love what you do, you'll be competent at it. And so there's two shadow elements of this, and these a lot of these perspectives come from a book, The Gene Keys, and it's a very, very profound book. And this specific gene has to do, it's like the 14th, and has to do with well, anyways, you can check it out if you want to learn more about it. But so the shadow that we're going to talk about is the repressive aspect. And so this is to be impotent, as they describe in the book. And what this means is that we show up in a way that is, we're just compromising, right? And every time you compromise, you're diminishing your power, you're giving it away, you're saying, oh, this is okay, and you just keep, it can become a habit where your habit is to compromise, and your habit is to give away your power, your fire. And this can be very diminishing, and you can become very stifled by this. And so the opposite of this is the reactive nature, which is to be looking for fulfillment through some sense of feeling of importance or the gratification of others, and to be seen and heard, right? To feel important, to feel special. And so this reactive nature is, people will do things to try to get that attention, and they might seem powerful, though it's a fake, it's like a front, and so we don't want to fall into either of these extremes. To be really powerful is to be, whole in yourself and to feel complete and fulfilled by what you're doing, which will come from fanning your genius and sharing it with the world. So we want to develop competence, and this is actually a very natural thing that comes from doing what you love in the world. And so what is it that you love to do? And this is a process of discovery and self-exploration. And as you align and center yourself more and more, it has a lot to do with being centered, being in alignment through your solar plexus, right? You're breathing into your belly, in different systems, they call it different things. And so this is your digestive fire, your fire energy to put into your projects. And we'll make a little side note here, like perhaps you've lost your spark, perhaps you're in that compromised habit. So the first thing is become aware, that you're in that, and then become aware that you do have a genius within you. and that it is ready to be activated, and there's such a amazing benefit to activating that, not just for yourself but for all of humanity. So commit to activating that genius. And one really powerful thing, maybe early on in our life we had something we wanted to achieve. Maybe it was to win at a sporting event, or to overcome some kind of challenge, or to become like a great movie star or a lawyer or a doctor or whatever like you thought you wanted to do, and you had a dream for it. Well, that energy can actually be harnessed. That fire that you had at that time is actually very useful, even if maybe you were moving in the wrong direction for your own destiny. You can actually redirect that energy into your true purpose, to really show up the way you were meant to show up in the world. So that and just by tuning in, by connecting with that sense of drive that you had once before, and maybe you no longer have, you can connect with that drive and that enthusiasm and direct it towards your new dreams that you now feel are more in alignment with what you want to create in the world. And one other thing with the compromise is sometimes we compromise for things that maybe we don't really want to do, and they maybe seem dull, but it's like part of a bigger arc. So it's like certain lessons you need to learn through that. So it's a very fine line between the compromise of diminishment and the compromise of this is a step for me to develop something. And that largely comes from our perspective. If you're able to direct that loving energy and that enthusiasm into what you're doing because you can see clearly that it is helping you in some bigger way. For example, I've been working with a project for many years now, like 3 years, and I started to kind of lose steam with it, and I started to get a little bored with it. And one thing for me has been shifting my perspective around it, and just realizing that I'm learning like really valuable skills in leadership and team building and attracting the right people, right communication, and developing a cohesive team and all the different things that are required to do that. And so before I was like, I'm doing this job, like it seems okay. But now it's like, it's a business, right? And so now with that vision in mind, it's part of my bigger dreams that I have for the world, the bigger things I wanted to accomplish. And so see that perspective within your own tasks. And if it's not in any way, shape, or form, in alignment with what you want to do, then maybe it's time to find something else that is more fitting for you. Some new skill to stretch yourself in or to develop, or some new step, or to really step into your genius and fully commit to that. So with that competence, there's a level of flexibility and to be able to adapt and to be efficient, right? Because when we're really in love with what we're doing, like no roadblocks are going to get in the way. We're not going to get all stifled and be like, like it's too hard, I don't want to deal with it. You're going to be like on it. You're going to be like, okay, like how can we maneuver this obstacle? How can we solve this? And especially in a team environment, if we're able to come together with that enthusiasm towards a unified direction, a unified mission, then that can become a very powerful force in the world. But even on our own, if we're able to really go all in on that genius within ourselves, then that makes space for others to do the same, and you can actually affect the entire all of consciousness through your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, and literally become a pillar of aligning the world through your own integrity and alignment. So this is a worthwhile thing, and it does come with sacrifice of what you thought you were, what you thought was important to you, and it also involves moving through any fears that maybe you weren't enough, or that you couldn't do it, or you won't be able to do it, fear of failure, anything like that. It's like moving through any fears, any resistances, any limiting beliefs and stuff, and really just lean into that drive and that new mission and that one love that's going to cultivate and emanate in your life. So enjoy your explorations of becoming whole and competent and fulfilled, and fan that flame of genius so that others can be inspired as well. Yeah. Happy trails, friends.